Thank you for inviting me to your beautiful country here. I was lucky to come 2 years ago on Will's invitation, and I was surprised how much I loved it. Just because growing up in Australia, England's a place that displaced my people. So it's kind of like somewhere you didn't really want to go. It's kind of like most people will think about my adopted country, the United States. But anyway, in the United States, we say you should have a PMA, which is a positive mental attitude. So when we're building, we try to always have a PMA. I've been asked to talk about clay plaster because that's what I'm known for, natural plaster, clay plaster. And these are some of the substrates we typically work over in the United States. Hempcrete, light earth. This is, I think you call it Durasol. Eco cocoon. Traditional straw bale obviously is very big in the United States. We do a lot of wood lath because plasterboard's not really trending. Wood fiber board is coming in. We have new plants in the United States now, so we're really excited. And then we have high seismic issues in my region. So all our buildings have plywood over them typically, unless they're natural. So this is a vapor permeable membrane with a fiberglass lath. So it's a non-metal plaster substrate, I guess, over plywood. So this would get a lime or clay plaster. And then if we're down in the southwest, we work on adobe and cob. Occasionally people ring up and they're like, I've got this aircrete thing, or like ramming tires. And I also do a lot over mixed material for masonry stove builders. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to make them into comfortable houses with non-toxic plasters. And that's the stuff. So to start with, the main test we do is throw water on the wall. If the water soaks in, then you can put a natural plaster on it. If the water runs off, you can put a natural plaster on it, but it'll fall off eventually. The reason is that clay and lime plasters do not have any glue in them, so they're relying on the suction to pull in some of the binder and diffuse with the substrate. So if it's a painted wall, we'll coat it with tile adhesive because tile adhesive is acrylic, and our clients have put acrylic on their wall and they want us to put a plaster that needs to suck into a wall. So a tile adhesive is an acrylic that gives suction to a wall that has no suction. In my company, we never work over sanded primer. People think I'm conservative. And then obviously testing. Often we're site testing clays on site. Lots of testing. And then I do a lot of training in my work. So I run a Natural Plasterers Guild where I train people in all different methods of plaster. So we learn a systems approach to plastering because we really want to make natural plasters mainstream. And the way I see doing that is to systemize it. So it's kind of a legitimate trade. So yeah, we train people in all different aspects a couple of times a year. And then we get child labor. And then we mix plaster with different equipment, concrete mixers, pan mixers, more pan mixers. And then we throw plaster on the wall and we float the plaster, or we use these spatula things you have here, and then put a little bit more on, and then normally finish with plastic. So that's the main system that we teach for finishing clay plaster. The reason is it's quite easy to learn, and it breaks the process into 4 or 5 distinct parts that can be taught easily, and it gives very predictable results and fairly high quality finishes. We often brush the walls afterwards as well. It's there's 100 different ways to put plaster on a wall and finish it. So as someone who wants to create systems, this over 15 years of working with dozens of people is the system that I find the easiest to teach and replicate. And sometimes we get other equipment involved and we make funky buildings. So I'm just going to show you some of the work that my company does. Straw Bale, this is light earth. I think that's light earth. That might be Adobe, actually. This is clay plaster with manure on a straw bale, and this is in my state, so this gets about 40 inches of rain a year. Clay plaster. It's a very specific style where we live. Like there's a lot of wood, there's a lot of plaster. Typically our buildings have high performance detailing, air sealing tapes, double, triple glazed windows. Of the modern sort of fusion between passive house and natural, I guess. And occasionally we get to work on what we call old buildings, which are like 100 years old if you're lucky. And I think that's about it. We do work on some larger buildings. So these are all just clay, predominantly plasters. We build whole houses as well as plaster, obviously. So that's it.